What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Saturday to all of you out there. I hope you all have an awesome weekend. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the EX Volume 2 update, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about the EX Volume 2 updates that are going to be ending over this weekend. That is right, you guys, the EX Volume 2 has crawled its way to the finish line, and it is finally going to be ending as of this weekend. And in today's video, I am going to inform you guys of which events are going to be ending and how I would go ahead and approach the ending of these events and what you need to be prepared for. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And without further ado, you already know what time it is. Cue that intro. Alright, you guys, so in this week's installment of the Saturday Chat and Chill, we are going to be focusing on the EX Volume 2 update, but more importantly, we're going to be focusing on what is going to be ending from the EX Volume 2 update to make room for the June 19th update that will be coming our way late tomorrow. So basically, I want to go ahead and go over what is going to be ending over the weekend, because if I don't talk about it in today's video, then by the time we get to Monday, all of this stuff will already be gone, and inevitably somebody's going to blame me in the comment section for them not noticing that this stuff was going away. So consider this your warning. So we're going to talk about all of these things in today's video. Let's go ahead and start off here with the Rush Dungeon. So there's two different factors here with the Rush Dungeon. The first thing you're going to want to know is the Rush Dungeon proper is going to be ending this weekend. However, the exchange shop is going to be sticking around. So basically what this means is you're going to have this weekend to grind as much as you can for these coins for this exchange shop. Now, this exchange shop is going to have about a week or so roughly left on it by the time all of the rest of this stuff goes away, including the Rush Dungeon itself. So basically anything that you grind over the course of the next 24 hours as far as these coins are concerned, you'll be able to use them over the course of the next week in this exchange shop. So with this, basically the biggest thing I would recommend to you guys is make sure that you get at least one copy of this set. The Moderate versus Frustrated set is going to be the best in slot for your EX Angel or your BS Leona in a lot of cases. It is an extremely strong set. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best set in the game, but it is an extremely strong set for free. So you're going to want to make sure that you pick this up. Another thing that you're going to want to consider here is there are a lot of very good items in here that you may want to pick up on a daily basis over the course of the next week or so while this exchange shop is still around. So basically you're going to want to figure out what that number is and grind that many coins over the course of the next 24 hours. So that way you make sure that you can pick those up every day. So in general, that is going to be the Rush Dungeon and the Exchange Shop. Again, the Rush Dungeon will go away. However, the Exchange Shop, as always, will stick around for about a week after these events go away. So the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the tower. We've all talked about how this tower has been kind of sus. It's not necessarily one of the best towers we've ever had. In fact, considering the fact that it was mostly predicated upon these guys here, and most people can't even finish this in order to be able to craft one of those stones now because of the RNG with that roulette, this thing ended up being a giant waste of time for a lot of people. In general, I would say you don't have to go through and finish this entire thing. Like, for instance, if you can't get through stage 30, if you're not going to be able to pick up enough of these coins anyway to get a stone, it doesn't matter. But in general, I would recommend trying to get through the whole thing over this weekend if you haven't already done so. Of course, we talked about you can use any of these three characters to get through it. I've seen plenty of people get through this with the regular FES Leona. So if you want to go that route, it's doable. But in general, make sure that you finish up this tower to whatever extent you are comfortable with over the weekend, so that way you don't miss out on any of those rewards. So now that we have talked about things as far as the roulette, as well as those tokens or coins or whatever you want to call them, let's talk about those events again. So these events are also going to be going away. So we talked about these the other day. All of these events are pretty much tied to each other. However, two of the three of them are going to be ending. So Ramon's Relay Roulette, for better or for worse, it was a thing. Basically with this, make sure that you guys go through, do your ads every day, do your event missions every day, make sure you get as many of these roulette tickets as possible, and yeah, do whatever you can to try and get as many of these paper towels, toilet papers, sports towels, whatever you want to call them, so that way that you can maybe potentially be able to pick up one of those stones in the crafting event. The crafting event itself is going to be sticking around for the course of the next week, so you'll have about a week or so to be able to do this. So even if you had enough of these things, you could technically just wait on this for a few days. You don't have to do this weekend. This is going to be sticking around like you can see right here, but you will need to make sure that you use as many of these roulette tickets as possible over the weekend and continue to collect them, because if you do not, then you are going to definitely miss out on one of those stones, like most of us at this point, because as you guys can see for myself here, yeah, there's no way I'm getting there either. So in general, the gift event is also going to be ending, so basically what this means is you guys are going to need to make sure that you are feeding all of your gifts to this event and making sure that you are getting as many of these mileage rewards as possible before this stuff goes away. This stuff will not be sticking around. Like I said, once you pick these rewards up, they are yours permanently, and that event will be going away, but this guy will be sticking around. So basically, you don't have to worry about crafting this right now. Again, you have an extra week on that, but you'll need to make sure that you do the relay roulette and the gift event over the weekend, so that way you get all the corresponding items that you need so that you can even have a chance at what's in here. So make sure that you guys are on top of that. This is more of where you're at and where you are as far as what you're going to do with this stuff right here. So this is really going to be a case-by-case basis. Just make sure that you are keeping up with that. Another thing in here is the event codex will be going away, so if you're planning on building up EX on Hell anymore, make sure that you go in here and you take care of this as well. There are some very, very good items in here, because obviously these stones you're definitely going to want, and you don't want to miss out on these freebies here if you're planning on pulling for her. So make sure that you guys keep in mind that she will be going away over the weekend as well, as far as her banner capacity is concerned, which is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about, right? So as far as the banners are concerned, these guys are going to be going away. So like I said, EX on Hell right now, you can pick up her stones if you build her up and awaken her. That will be ending after this weekend, so you'll need to keep that in mind. As far as whether or not you should summon on either of these banners, we've talked about this numerous times here on the channel. Both of these characters are incredibly strong. Both of these characters arguably are going to end up being mostly support characters in the end. I think with EX on Hell, while she is going to be extremely strong in things such as Omega Rugal's Guild Raid and so on and so forth, there really isn't a lot of use cases for her where she's going to circumvent or be better than or substantially better than 99% of the Uber tier. You don't really necessarily need her, because again, with that 3PG finisher being cancelable against giant bosses and things like that, she is going to be a little bit rough around the edges as far as where you're going to be able to use her properly. So in general, while she is an extremely strong character and I love her to death, I've enjoyed using her a lot, I would say that you do not need to consider her a must pull. When it comes to BS Leona, this is one of the best overall support characters in the game at the moment. She is an incredibly strong character post-buff and post-EX. So in general, I would say that you could do worse than picking up BS Leona. However, I would say that if right now you're feeling like you don't necessarily have the rubies to budget for it and you're worried about what we're going to be seeing over the course of the next month and a half, I would say that you'd be safe skipping her, because in general, neither of these characters, in my opinion, are going to make or break you at the end of the day. However, they are both very, very strong characters that I would love to have on any account. It just comes down to what you can afford to spend and how much you enjoy each character individually. When it comes to the cards, at the end of the day, none of these cards really stand out as anything that is a must have unless you're going for the characters, right? So if you're going for the characters, you're definitely going to want the finishers. That's going to be first and foremost. You always need the 3PG finisher for the character if you're planning on building them properly. So keep that in mind. The option card for On Hell this time around, definitely would recommend if you're planning on building her in any discernible way, because you can buff up her explosion there. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you pick this up as well as her 3PG finisher if you're planning on building her. Same can be said for the finisher for Leona. If you're building her, you'll want this finisher. Very strong finisher indeed. And then finally, when it comes to this card set, I would say, as we've talked about in the past, this is not a must-have set. It is a very good set. It is not a terrible set by any stretch of the imagination. The biggest reason why I would say that is because of that immunity on it. That immunity is useful for things such as Tower of Trials and so on. However, it is a bit niche. It isn't necessarily anything that's going to outperform the best in slot cards for most of your characters in just general usage. And at the end of the day, it is going to be a niche card set, so I would say you'd be mostly safe skipping it if you decided that that was something that you wanted to do, because in general, chances are you aren't necessarily going to regret it as much as you might regret having missed out on something like the successor set, which was an extremely important set, especially for CP at the time. So in general, you guys, that's pretty much what I have to say about all this stuff. That's what's going on as far as these events, these banners going away. In general, we are going to be seeing all of this stuff going away to make room for the updates on the 6.19 update. The 6.19 update, again, if you guys want more information on it, we talked about it in yesterday's video. I am happy personally to see this update, whatever you want to call it, go away. I was not a big fan of this update. I've talked about this already. This update to me sucked. I thought that it was one of the weaker ones we've had in a very long time. You know, outside of the fact that it had some very, very likable and very entertaining characters on the banner, everything else about it in general, for the most part, to me kind of blew. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that I am going to be losing any sleep over any of the stuff going away. So in general, it is what it is. I'll just be happy to see what we get next to replace it, and hopefully it'll end up being a lot more positive than what we got with this. But anyway, you guys, that is going to be everything you need to know as far as all these events going away. Again, make sure that you guys are paying attention to this stuff. One last aside, the KOF Battle Passes, if you haven't picked them up and you were planning on it, you can still do so before the end of the weekend. Those are also going to have 1 day left on them as of the making of this video. But outside of that, that is pretty much what we got here. So anyway, you guys, I hope you all found it informative, entertaining, enjoyable, what have you. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe. And until the next one, you all have an awesome weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. Peace.
Continue.